Is there a concern from this department or the secretary about an overall worsening in the relationship with India and the potential for India to be turning more to China and away from the U.S. at a time when the U.S. looks to India, has been looking for many years to India as a partner?
Well, what this is about is an honest, full, and frank dialogue about real concerns that this administration has, that the president has outlined very clearly, addressing those concerns through his actions. He's spoken about them, whether it's about the purchase of Russian oil, whether it's about the trade imbalance. Addressing those concerns is important, and that's part of what it means to have a frank dialogue, to address those concerns that you have, and then hopefully have conversations to see those concerns addressed. The president has been very clear in terms of the concerns he has regarding the trade imbalance, regarding the concerns he has when it comes to the purchase of Russian oil. You've seen him take action directly on that, and I refer you to the president's comments for that. India is a strategic partner with whom we engage in a full and frank dialogue.
Both the US and Chinese leaders are trying to have a summit meeting in the near future. The Russian and Chinese navies carried out joint exercises in the Sea of Japan, including anti-submarine drills. And China continues to purchase Russian oil. So how are you concerned of the China's move that might help Russia? And I have a brief follow-up.
Well, for the specifics, let me take that back and see if we can get further details for you on that. What I can say, though, is we've been clear about how the United States views itself as a Pacific nation. We are a Pacific nation. We've seen the highest levels of engagement with our allies and partners across the region. The fact that we stand with our allies and partners across the region, both the Secretary, of course, going to the region, but other high-level delegations from this department over just the last few weeks. So we've seen that engagement, we've seen that commitment here, and that engagement will continue.
And it's been reported that Indian Prime Minister Modi is set to visit China for the first time in 7 years. And Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has criticized the US tariffs imposed on countries including Brazil and India. So are you concerned that China and other BRICS countries are trying to take the lead in organizing a kind of pushback against US trade measures?
Well, what I can say in terms of India is the president has been very clear in terms of the concerns he has regarding the trade imbalance, regarding the concerns he has when it comes to the purchase of Russian oil. You've seen him take action directly on that, and I refer you to the president's comments for that. India is a strategic partner with whom we engage in a full and frank dialogue. That'll continue. The Secretary also spoke to that. Like anything in foreign policy, you're not going to align 100% of the time on everything. But it is very clear, the president's been clear, the concerns that he has with the trade imbalance, the concerns he has with India purchasing Russian oil. He's been clear on that. He's taken action, and I refer you to his comments for further on that. Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Tommy. I wanted to follow up on my colleague's question about India, because I understand we've certainly heard, as you mentioned, the president's frustration and upset about India purchasing Russian oil, but we've seen a longer-term tension, it seems, rising in U.S.-India relationship. We saw Indian officials back in May who were upset about the president talking publicly about a role in having brokered a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. We saw the meeting with the Prime Minister of India that was supposed to take place at the G7 in June canceled because the president had to leave early to return to Washington, and now this tension over tariffs. Is there a concern from this department or the secretary about an overall worsening in the relationship with India and the potential for India to be turning more to China and away from the U.S. at a time when the U.S. looks to India, has been looking for many years to India as a partner?
Well, what this is about is an honest, full, and frank dialogue about real concerns that this administration has, that the president has outlined very clearly, addressing those concerns through his actions. He's spoken about them, whether it's about the purchase of Russian oil, whether it's about the trade imbalance. Addressing those concerns is important, and that's part of what it means to have a frank dialogue, to address those concerns that you have, and then hopefully have conversations to see those concerns addressed. So the president's been very clear. His concerns about what he has seen from India speak for themselves. He's truthed multiple times about it. But ultimately, this is about a frank and full dialogue, and that's what it means to advance American interests. That's what it means to really have full diplomatic dialogue with partners to address concerns that we need to see addressed.
To the back of the room.
Yes.
Thanks, Tommy. Earlier today, the president truth, and this is how we call it, right? Truth, that he was hoping that all Arab nations would join the Abraham Accords. Do you have concern that Israel's decision to take over Gaza completely will, if not delay, really kind of jeopardize the ability to move forward with the Abraham Accords?
Well, I'm not going to predict the future or speak for the opinions of other governments. What I can say is that President Trump is a deal maker. President Trump wants to see peace and constructive dialogue. He knows how to make a deal. He knows how to bring people to the table. That has been evident both in the previous administration when we saw the beginning of the Abraham Accords and now the Abraham Accords then being something that many people thought would not have been possible, and yet he still was able to accomplish that with many different nations joining the Abraham Accords. So I think what's clear is that the president can accomplish what many people think is not possible. I'm not going to predict the future or speculate on how others may view certain actions, but the president remains committed on this. He's made that clear. Yes.
Hi, Tommy. Thank you. In his interview yesterday, Secretary Rubio made it clear that of Russia and Ukraine, the U.S. would have to bring them close enough in order for a meeting involving President Trump to be worthwhile and productive. As of right now, are they close enough?
Well, I'm not going to get ahead of what the White House may announce here. I mean, ultimately, the secretary laid out saying that that was one of the things that they were discussing here when we're looking towards a potential meeting or other sort of engagement. So I will leave that to the White House or the president to decide when that happens and take his lead here. And it is a credit to his leadership that we've seen the engagement we have seen, the parties come to the table when they have come to the table, and the further engagement to try to pursue peace here.
Assuming they are not close enough and there is no ceasefire in place by tomorrow, which was the previously stated deadline in order to forestall sanctions by the U.S., are sanctions going to be imposed tomorrow, either secondary or any other sort?
A lot of speculation involved there. I'm not going to speculate from here.
It was a pretty hard deadline by the president, and administration officials had indicated they were expected to be put in place.
Well, as you said, assuming, that's kind of where I draw the line in terms of speculation.
Yeah.
I'll refer to the White House to speak more to the president and defer to the president. I want to get ahead of him, but not going to speculate from here.
One last finer point question. Secretary also in this interview indicated that Special Envoy Witkoff heard from the Russians about what they were asking for in order to bring an end to the war. Did they put any concessions on the table?
Well, as the secretary described in his interview yesterday, we saw conditions, which is the first time, as he described, that we have seen some of these conditions that would be needed to see an end to this war. I'll leave it to him to characterize what we saw from the Russians, and conditions is the word that he used. Yes.
Thank you, Tommy. Two questions on Syria. As President Trump has instructed the State Department to review the removal of Syria's sponsor of terrorism status, will that happen soon? And what would that mean in terms of sanctions?
Sorry, repeat your question one more time.
Yeah. President Trump has instructed the State Department to review the removal of the Syrian sponsor of terrorism status. Will that happen soon? And what would that mean in terms of sanctions?
Well, I'm not going to preview the finalization of certain sanctions announcements. When we have something to announce, we'll announce it. What I can say, as the president has said, as Special Envoy Barrack has said, as the secretary has said, we want to give Syria a chance for greatness. And that Syria is at a critical crossroads here when it comes to the ability to achieve that. So we continue in dialogue here. We continue having the conversations with all different stakeholders in the region. When we have something to announce, we'll announce it.
And the second question, as you are mediating the negotiation between the Syrian Democratic Forces and the Syrian government, have you seen any progress in these negotiations recently? And last week, Tammy said that the U.S. position has not changed on the evolution of these negotiations. Can you clarify that whether the U.S. dictating the Syrians and SDF in these negotiations, or if you are leaving that for the Syrians to make decision if they want a federal state or if they want to have a centralized state?
Well, Special Envoy Barrack has spoken about this. I'm not going to go further than his comments in terms of talking about sensitive conversations between different parties. I'll refer you to his comments on more detail there. Yes, Michelle in the back.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm sitting way back. Can you explain why the State Department is rewriting the human rights report? I understand it's coming out soon, but it's been changed, and you're dropping certain things like LGBTQ rights. Just explain why.
Yeah, what I can say is that this human rights report in terms of the one that is set to upcome, just for people watching at home, is set to talk about 2024. It is a series of reports for different countries. Part of the reason why we are seeing an effort to readjust this is to make it more readable, to make it more digestible, and also to reflect some of the changing priorities that we've seen from the previous administration to this one, priorities that were voted by the American people, and we at the State Department are here to carry out and fulfill. So we're seeing an ongoing conversation, and in regards to that, we're seeing an effort in order to try to make this more usable, more readable, while also reflecting the changing priorities of this administration compared to the last one.
So it's always in the past seen as not a political thing. I mean, it's you're judging people based on human rights law, and but does this mean that you see it as a political tool?
No, not at all. I mean, we have seen changes in the previous administration when President Biden took office, changes in terms of different examples that are used. Speaking of past reports, the examples in these reports are oftentimes illustrative, highlights of ways that we want to or concerns we want to raise or conversations we want to have. So, no, it's more of just making sure that we're implementing the policy and priority of this administration. It's not political in terms of how that was described. Yes.
On Azerbaijan, Armenia. First, there are reports that the trilateral summit on Friday at the White House with Azerbaijan and Armenian leaders will result in the signing of an initial peace deal. Can you confirm? Could you please elaborate on that? And also, could you please clarify the U.S. position on this Zangezur corridor, this transit corridor?
Well, on that second point, let me see if I can get you more details there. On your first, I refer you to the White House for details on what will happen. It may or may not be happening at the White House.
And on Turkey, like, how do you see Turkey's role in this? We know that Turkish President Erdogan recently, both separately, met both with Armenian and Azerbaijan leaders. You know, how does the U.S. see Turkey's role in this peace process, and also generally overall its role in post-conflict regional order?
Well, what I can say is that both the president and the secretary have said we hope to see, speaking in general, some sort of agreement soon. They've both said that multiple times. The secretary often talks about this when he has the opportunity. When there's something to announce, we'll announce it. In terms of the specifics of how that looks, when we have something to announce in terms of specifics, I'm not going to speculate or get ahead of those announcements at this time. Yes. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. My name is Erdana from Haber Agency. U.S. Ambassador to Uzbekistan, Mr. Jonathan Hennick, said that it's the best time for Donald Trump to visit Central Asia. I know you don't speak for President, but this year is 10th anniversary of C5+1 platform, where Central Asian 5 countries engage with United States to make the relationship more fruitful. So do you have any plans to do for this year? Because it's already August and we have like 3 months left. Anything planned for United States and Central Asia cooperation?
Well, nothing to preview at this point in terms of scheduling there. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Naziga Karimi. I'm Afghan journalist. I have 2 questions, sir. One question is any update about U.S. policy toward Taliban regime. Number 2, Foreign Minister of Taliban had a plan to visit Pakistan. There is rumor that United States stopped him, prevented his visa. Is it true? And my second question, President Trump said we are going to help Afghan allies to come to the United States, the people who has a SIV visa. Which kind of help U.S. authority will prepare for them? Because a lot of them waiting in Doha, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Pakistan, and different part of country.
So a couple questions there.
Thank you.
I believe on your second regarding Pakistan, I'm not going to comment on rumors from this podium.
Mutaqis visas.
Yeah, so I'm not going to comment on rumors from this podium. In terms of your question on SIVs, we see a continual processing of SIVs. That processing has continued. That has continued for many, many years. We have seen that because of the initiatives as President Trump was talking about. So the SIV processing has continued. We expect that to continue, but also we're seeing many hundreds of those visas being processed as we go forward here. So nothing further beyond that, but the processing for SIVs for Afghans does continue.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I would like to ask you about Serbia. Secretary Rubio had a meeting with Serbian officials yesterday. Can you please provide some details beyond the readout that I'm familiar with? Specifically, on Secretary Rubio's broader plans for U.S.-Serbia relations and the strategic policy framework surrounding the engagement. Like, what's the goal for the State Department when it comes to Serbia? Is it the beginning of a new chapter? Is it not? What do you have for me?
Well, nothing further to provide beyond the readout, so I'll refer you to that readout for further information. And with that, that's all I have for today. Thank you.